from the crypt.
Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 222 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'll be your host tonight while we dive into Masters of Horror. Joining me is Mondo.
Hello.
Hello. And Jody.
Hello.
Hello, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm still
here.
Jody's hanging on by a thread because he blew out his eyes trying to do work. I'm still in my football hangover from the Ducks getting obliterated, and Mondo's in football ecstasy because the Niners survived again.
Let me tell you my experience of watching the game. I went to go see Primate. I got it a Primate, got home. I got a text from our friend Joe Ferry with a meme. I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot the game was on. So I popped it on and we won. That's pretty cool.
Such a dedicated fan.
I just, I love my team and all like that, but I don't need to spend 3 hours of having high blood pressure and being nervous and being worried about something that I can't control whatsoever. So,
no, I held my breath for at least the first quarter of that Duck game. I was so mad. When I finally breathed, my wife was relieved that I was actually functioning.
I don't know much about college football, but I know that did not look good for you guys.
It was not good. It was bad. It was very bad. Very, very bad.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just
so I did see that next year the national championship for college football is in Vegas.
Well, that's cool.
So I'm like, okay, they'll just be back next year where I can actually go to the game. I'll just crush at your place.
Probably not, but maybe, if you really needed it, I could make it happen.
Well, you can tell me a place to crash. The best hotel to go to.
Circus.
There we go.
Do not take my advice. Do not stay at Circus.
I think Circus is one of the only hotels I've actually been to in Vegas when I was a kid, back in the 90s.
That's when Circus was cool. And then we had Excalibur that had the whole midway in the basement. That's when that's what being a kid in Vegas. That's when it was fun. But Circus now actually, of all things, has a surprisingly good steakhouse in there. They're considered one of the worst casinos on the strip. It's they're old and they're probably not going to be around much longer, I imagine. But the steakhouse in there, it's a hidden gem of Las Vegas. That's why.
All right, well, let's get into it. Quick plug as always for our Patreon. We have mini reviews of many of the best movies of the last year, including Ugly Stepsister, Together, Begonia, Good Boy, Him. And we just released a review of the 5th season of Stranger Things. So go check that out on our Patreon. You also get early access to all of these reviews, unless we record the night before, like we are tonight.
Sometimes
we are going to be doing a new series. We're going to be doing Masters of Horror, which was a Showtime series created by Mick Garris. And we're going to do kind of every other week format where we're going to do, there might be sometimes we switch things up a little bit, but we're going to do a Masters of Horror episode. And then we're going to probably do a movie, then another episode.
I saw that there's 26 episodes. So that's half a year right there.
Yeah, totally. So I don't know if we'll do the second season immediately. We might do a little break or here or there. We'll see how things go.
I definitely remember season 1 more than season 2, but I remember most of it being enjoyable though.
I watched through the whole series a couple of years ago, and I feel like more hits than misses. There's a few that are kind of mediocre, but overall, pretty decent.
Yeah, I know I've watched a handful. I don't remember because there's a couple other different anthology series that came around that time. Back in the good old 2005 where we were not invading other countries, maybe not, or
I think we were.
Yeah. Shocking how things just stay the same.
We learned our lesson though.
Yeah, totally.
After 17 years of being in war, we're not doing that again. That'd be stupid.
We know better.
Right, yeah, it's not like we'd ever threaten an ally or anything like that.
Yeah.
Especially for oil or something. What kind of nonsense would that be? Who cares about oil?
Okay. Moving on.
I am doing very hard to keep my mouth just I could, because how much time do we have tonight?
No, we don't.
It's a
Sad
12-hour episode.
So I pulled a little blurb from Dread Central about the series just to kind of set the stage. So for those that don't know, Mick Garris started off as a horror journalist back like in the early 80s. He was like one of the few journalists was like on set for like The Thing and all, all of the big movies throughout the 80s. He was like on set for a lot of those, doing, articles and whatnot. And then he went to do some writing and directing. He did the Shining TV series, among many other things. Then in the early 2000s, he decided to host these informal dinners with all the directors that he became friends with. So it'd be like people that are made horror movies with theatrical releases. So like John Carpenter, Joe Dante, Guillermo del Toro, that crowd. And these gatherings were social above all, but they kind of shared stories and shared ideas. And they made a connection through camaraderie, and they sparked an idea. They jokingly called themselves the Masters of Horror, which they say Guillermo del Toro said one night at dinner. And Mick Garris took that casual idea and shaped it into this weekly anthology series for TV. The core pitch was simple but bold, gathering the genre's most respected filmmakers and giving each one two things that were hard to find elsewhere: creative freedom and minimal interference. The directors would get limited time and modest budgets, but could otherwise make their own movies the way they wanted, without network censorship or studio mandates. He sold the vision to multiple companies, or took the vision to multiple companies, and Showtime embraced it first, letting the filmmakers push boundaries of horror on cable TV. So again, that was the thing that, like, if you made a movie, you usually had executives and studios interfering. It was on regular TV, you'd have lots of censorship happening. So this is like kind of a melding of those two, the best of both those.
I remember the big pitch when this came out was like, you get to see these directors do whatever they want. Like, no one's going to hold them back. They can do whatever they want. And I think it mostly worked like that too. Like you kind of got to see like what happens if they're not being held back in any way. Unless you're Takeshi Miike, and then sometimes you go so far that you even get banned on the show that has no restrictions.
Exactly. I don't know how he even did that, but
I think it's important to anybody that wasn't kind of our age when it came out, back in 2005 or 2006 ish. But back then it was a weird time for horror. We had a lot of that early 2000 stuff that was coming out that was, let's be honest, a lot of it was not very good. It was very stylized as far as like the music video kind of quick cut era. And there wasn't much horror on TV at all. It's not like it is now. Now it almost feels like horror is part of the mainstream, part of the culture, just part of the culture, where back then you still felt like you're on the fringes if you liked horror movies.
Yeah.
Where now it's definitely, now I could see this coming out now and it wouldn't be a shock to me, where back then it kind of came out of left field. And I remember being excited every week to sit down and watch a new Masters of Horror episode.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's interesting to kind of compare to Tales from the Crypt, how much stylistically things changed. In like not even 10 years since, it was less than 10 years since Crypt went off the air. But also that has a very different mandate where they're kind of using a very specific source material, and they're trying to keep a specific vibe. And also wasn't really originated from horror creators. So it's an interesting contrast. All right, let's get into it. So the first episode came out on, I gotta switch my sheets on October 28th, 2005. It's called Incident on and Off a Mountain Road. Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
All right, so our first master of horror is Don Coscarelli, the guy behind Phantasm and Bubba Hotep, and just a bunch of other cool stuff. John dies at the end.
Really cool movie.
And so, like, I had no idea what to expect out of him because his movies are so wild sometimes. This is a fairly restrained piece from him, but I think it's really cool.
Yeah. All right. One more thing I want to mention before we get any deeper. If anybody wants to watch these before we do our discussion and everything, you can watch them for free on Tubi and on Plex.
Yeah.
With like limited commercials.
Some ads. You got to deal with some ads, but it's free. And it's only an hour, so there can't be
even like this one's like 50 minutes.
Yeah, they're all short. They're nice little bite. All right. So in this one, we meet a woman named Ellen who is out driving on a secluded mountain road when she has a wreck and smashes into another car. The other car is empty, but she finds a trail of blood leading into the forest, follows it down, and when she follows it, instead of finding whoever was in the car, she finds a very giant man with a long face. They call him Moonface in here. He has a very sharp, curved blade and a woman that he has kidnapped. And so Ellen immediately begins to run, and Moonface follows her. Now, while we have all this happening, we also get flashbacks to before. And in the flashbacks, we see that she meets a guy named Bruce, played by Ethan Embry. And from their first date, he's kind of an odd guy. He talks about, all the bad things happening in the world and how things are going to like fall apart. And he basically trains her in survival skills because she has to, like, to be a part of this relationship. Like, they have to do this because he's so obsessed with it. Eventually he joins, like, up with some survivalists, and we see that as it unfolds. But so she's running. She gets taken by the killer and gets taken to his workshop where she's chained to a pole. She meets this crazy man named Buddy, played by Angus Scrimm, which is it's funny because it's such a different role for him than anything I've ever seen him in. He's so goofy in this. It's fun.
He's having a good time with it. You could tell.
Yeah, he's really playing. But he talks about how Moonface is going to kill her, and he kills everybody. And this is, his family that he's made, and there's evil in the eyes, he says. And then we find out what Moonface does is he plucks the eyeballs out, or in some cases uses a giant drill press to drill the eyeballs out of his victims. And then he hangs them on crosses out in front of his house, just a bunch of dried out husk with no eyeballs. And so Ellen, obviously a little upset by this. And
understatement.
yeah.
As you are.
Knows, yeah, she knows things are not going well for her. But after Moonface leaves, he takes the first woman who he had earlier and takes her eyes out. After he leaves, the Buddy is the guy's name. He talks Ellen into picking the locks on her chains with a metal nail file that had been jammed into her shoulder. So she uses her mouth and rips it out of her shoulder and then picks the lock, and then manages to surprise Moonface. And this time she manages to overpower him and knock him out a window. And where they are is over a big cliff that leads down to water. And so when Moonface gets knocked out the window, that is a very long fall. But it's not over yet, because she gets some stuff together and goes back to her car. And we open the trunk to find her husband, Bruce, dead in the back. Because in these flashbacks, he's progressively getting more and more unhinged throughout the entire thing, to the point that he is abusing her, saying, "Fight me, fight me, fight me," like calling her names and saying, like, "You're weak, you can't handle it, you can't survive." And so she kills him with his own belt and strangles him and throws him in the trunk, and realizes she's got a pretty good opportunity now that she has a serial killer hut out in the woods. And so she drags him down there, takes out his eyes with the drill press, hangs him up on a cross, just another Moonface victim. And, at this point, I'm celebrating her. She then shoots Buddy in the head, just because I guess he was getting on her nerves at the end, or leaving no witnesses, one of the two, if you want to go that route.
And I think it's kind of obvious that he's somewhat complacent with Moonface. Like,
he's definitely
an accomplice, I should say.
Yeah, he's not like participating, but he's not fighting against him either. Like, they're both there. But anyway, so she takes him out at the end too, and leaves Bruce there so that whenever he's finally discovered, everyone's just going to assume Moonface got another one. So that is the end of our story.
All right, thank you, Mondo. What did you think of this episode?
I forgot how nasty this episode was. I really enjoyed it. I think Don Coscarelli, even though, like Jody said, it's one of his more straightforward pieces, it still has his fingerprints all over it, with the characters out of Moonface, and then the obviously Angus Scrimm being in it. I really enjoyed her going from being the victim to the I don't want to say aggressor, but from being the victim to the champion, I guess, because it kind of mimics the life she lived before this. I'm sitting there watching this and I'm like, dude, like just leave Bruce. This guy's obviously an incel. This guy obviously sucks. And
from
then
the first date, like you get hints.
Yeah, we're just talking about like Thai sex slaves, I think.
Yeah, on the first date. Yeah.
Yeah, and then trying to show someone how to be a survivalist, and I'm just gonna put it out there. Mostly survivalist assholes are cosplayers.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all they fucking are. They're just people who are cosplaying as tough guys, and I think she realizes that when she cuts him, because the minute she stood up to him, he just shrank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't handle a woman standing up to him or someone he deemed as less than him. So I totally forgot the twist with him in the trunk, and I kind of cheered. I was pretty happy with that. I'm like, good, fuck Bruce. And then I thought the idea of her using Moonface's killings as a perfect way to hide the body was just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of turn the whole slasher convention on its head a little bit, but you also do it in a way where it's still the protagonist. It's not like a weird high tension twist where this person you've been following the whole movie as a protagonist is actually the antagonist. This was very much done in a way that like she is still the protagonist at the end as well, because she has ended these terrible human beings and the world is a better place because they no longer exist on this earth.
All right, Jody.
Yeah, I had forgotten the twist too. I really like this one. It's very straightforward. You know, I love the way that it cuts back and forth between the like stalking through the woods and then her backstory, and how each of those, I mean, Bruce is an asshole, but he gave her what she needed to be able to fight off Moonface in the end. Like kind of each lesson, how she uses that lesson in fighting him.
It kind of reminds me of like Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, she uses all his lessons to fight against Moonface, but then also to fight back against him too. And so, you know, he gave her the tools she needed to defeat him and other aggressors later. And so, you know, I think it was really cool. I like the way that it built her up as a character and gave her motivation and backstory. I like that by the time that we see her, we don't know Bruce is dead, but Bruce has been dead the whole time. She's already beaten him. And so when Moonface comes along, it's just another guy who's getting in her way. I feel like Don Coscarelli has a really kinetic style in this one too. Like the camera is moving a lot, and sometimes that bothers me. But in this case, it really, I feel like, heightens the moments, like in the chase scenes, as the camera's shaking all over the place and moving all over the place. At one point, my daughter was watching with me, and she said, I can't really tell what's happening, but it's really intense and I don't like it. I'm like, okay, cool. That's what they're going for.
Welcome to the 2000s.
Yeah, that too. I mean, some of the shaky cam is just of the time, but it doesn't feel super dated either, though. I'm it's 20 years old, but I don't feel like it's any more dated than anything else, you know, that's a little bit older. But yeah, really good. Especially once you get the twist in there. The twist gives it an extra, you know, star, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I don't think I haven't seen this one. I don't remember at all. I love Ethan Embry. He's such a great actor. Like he's really underappreciated. I was looking at his filmography because I just forgot. Or there's just so many things I don't realize. I want to know mostly from like Can't Hardly Wait, those kind of things. Gracie and Frank. But he's also in Empire Records, That Thing You Do, White Squall, Disturbing Behavior, and The Devil's Candy.
The Devil's Candy is a wild role for Ethan Embry too.
Yeah,
I like that one.
I like Cheap Thrills too.
Oh, Cheap Thrills is really cool. I like that.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
he's like a sneaky good like resume. I don't think gets much love, but he plays this character really chillingly. And I guess I just assumed that it was gonna be more about him. I mean, it's very much about him, but I thought he was gonna be the main threat. And it was definitely of its time a little bit. It was like a year after Saw, so again, a lot of that very kinetic, fast cutting. When they're in that basement, it felt very much like something from like a Halloween Horror Nights, like that kind of vibe. Where like, why are there like police lights when he turns on the saw and like all this like metal music, or not even metal music? It's just like it's just a lot of noise for just a saw.
Man. He's got some style.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that was a very stylistic time for that kind of thing. And it was fun. It was nice to see some gore. Like we didn't like see it going like through someone's head or anything, but we just saw it pull. We saw the drill pull out, and there was like little entrails and blood and stuff kind of dripping down, which I thought was cool.
Well, and then they set the bodies up, and you could see shadows like holes going through the head, like through the eye sockets out the back.
I mean, for as much as I hate the movie now, it reminded me a lot of like Jeepers Creepers in ways.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Which, you know, for many reasons, we don't really talk about that movie much anymore.
Jeepers Creepers is a shame because I wish I could still like it because I really liked it the first time I saw it.
Same here.
But it even ends with like a character with just a lung without his eyes, like when his skin like pulled over. So I think that was before this too. So there's a little bit of influence there, which is fine. Angus Scrimm, it's just anytime seeing him not being the tall man, it's just kind of hilarious, especially when in here where he's playing a goofy kind of grandpa like guy with, you know. I was looking at his filmography. He's also in Chopping Mall. I need to watch that one again.
I somehow don't remember that. I've seen that movie a dozen times.
Me too.
It must have been something pretty random.
Huh. I need to figure out who he was in that.
I'm kind of mad at myself.
Let's see. The main actress, who I think she's fantastic, is played by Bree Turner. Again, it's really cool. It is a little bit funny that she's taking like nail cutters and like trying to take down this like 6'9" guy with like these like traps and stuff.
Got to work with what you got.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Or like, oh man, when the other woman that's like being chased falls into her pit, I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
that was a really, really good scene because she's trying to tell her no, and then when they show the aftermath of it, I'm like, oh, that would suck to fall into.
So that was brutal, but you know, fun. But yeah, so Bree Turner, I thought she did a really good job with this. She is mostly known for 100 episodes of Grimm. So she has her thing there. Now, the Moonface is played by Don DeSantis. I did look him up. He's 6'9". He's done a lot of stunt work, a lot of like monster work, but he is most known for playing the Juggernaut in 13 Ghosts.
Oh, okay. I love that. Yeah. I looked him up too, and I just saw his face. I didn't realize how good the makeup was in this because he looks nothing like Moonface. Like he's a normal looking dude, just tall. But like they made him look like a pretty good monster.
But yeah, I was very curious where the Ethan Embry parts were going to go. I wonder if the name Bruce was an homage to Bruce Campbell, first of all. But you know, I think this archetype back then was like very like, oh, it's just some, you know, fringe person, you know, doing his thing and being misogynistic. And now it's like, we know too many of those people now. So I was very curious where it was going to go.
Well, they existed back then. It was just kind of one of those things where like, I say everyone, but a lot of us had that like, oh yeah, Jimmy, he's kind of one of those crazy prepper guys, but they weren't necessarily beating and treating their spouses that way.
Well, I guess
more so like, yeah, Will's definitely got some MREs in his garage and, you know, a stockpile of canned goods.
What's more, those types have been in what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraged to come out and be a little bit more active in the rest of the world.
No, instead of being a crazy prepper out in the woods by himself, he would have a podcast now, selling supplements and eating raw liver.
And I did find it funny that it takes place in Oregon. So it's like, okay, fine. Get the Oregon digs in there.
I can't remember who. I think it was during Texas when they had that bad storm and a lot of people lost power. A guy was live basically tweeting about his brother-in-law who's a prepper, about how he couldn't find a can opener, and he was like losing his shit that they were all going to die because he couldn't find a can opener. And just to kind of joke how like unprepared these people actually are.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I remember reading it, and it was like just, I don't know, it was making me smile because I was like, I have a lot of thoughts on the whole prepper mentality, but it is what it is.
But yeah, it was also funny because in the very first scene, they're like having their date, and he's bringing up like some very interesting topics, and she's just like so like giddy about it. I was like, oh, is this what dating used to be like in the 2000s? Which is probably when we were all, you know, dating our spouses. So
I got married in 2002, so
2003 for me. I was already married by the time this.
But yeah, this is a very fun episode. Again, I like I appreciate it when they're a little bit shorter because I don't know what else we would have done here. We don't need backstory for Moonface. We got everything we need to know about her relationship with Bruce. You know, it was the perfect story length. I like that.
Now, that's one of my favorite things about the series as a whole is an hour is enough time to do some cool stuff, but it doesn't drag its feet ever. Like none of these stories really drag their feet. They have to keep moving because they just have that short time.
I haven't looked into it, but I'm wondering if any of the filmmakers have commented on that, because I feel like an hour is such a good just length of time.
Yeah.
Because even before we started recording, I was talking about seeing Primate today, and no spoilers, but I do feel like a lot of the stuff with the humans was just tacked on. And even though the movie I enjoyed, and it's got a nice little runtime of an hour and 29 minutes, if it was an hour to an hour and 15, I wouldn't have been upset.
Yeah, I'm not sure who decided movies have to be, like 90 minutes to count as a movie. Like I'd be perfectly happy if there were more hour-long movies, particularly in horror. Like, a lot of times you don't need a whole lot of extra. You don't need the backstory and stuff.
Yeah, and even like you brought up, they did such a good job of making you actually care about the main character by those little flashbacks that we didn't get all of her backstory, but we got enough to be invested.
Yeah.
And so many movies don't even give you there'll be an hour and 45 minutes, and you by the end you still don't like the characters.
Right.
You're still not invested. It's like you had all this time and you didn't get me invested in anybody's stories.
But that's an interesting point, because we do become very invested in her story, and if anything, we see her change throughout the episodes. They actually do a really good job of showing character depth and growth through this relatively short time. So.
Well, you bring up the ties to Tales from the Crypt and it kind of being in the same, I guess, horror vein, but if you look at it, it's still a very small set with very few actors and just some really cool practical effects and a good story, and that can take you a long way, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking earlier about how do we rate this? Like, how do I personally rate this? Because it's the first one, so we don't have any more episodes to compare it to. I guess it's more about vibes than like saying, okay, this is the best of the series, this is like the worst kind of thing. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Not that we're going to change our metric or anything. I'm just saying, like, how do we rate this?
I mean, I mostly treated these like movies. I mean, it's hard not to compare, but I kind of treated them as their own little individual movies when I watched them last time. But yeah, I think at the end we definitely need to break it down and like what's the best, what's the worst, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, same boat. And even like this one, this was a banger of a way to start out a series, like and right before Halloween. Yeah, and just kind of looking at the list of the other episodes on this, there is at least one that I remember distinctly I enjoyed a lot more, and that's not a knock on this one. That's, I think the other one is masterpiece level. But I don't think that takes us down a notch at all based on that. Like I wouldn't, it's kind of like if you see a great movie and then you see another great movie, you don't somehow now think that first movie you saw that was great should be a lesser quality, lesser
right.
No, but it's interesting to see a show as it progresses. Like I started watching one of my favorite TV shows of all time, which was Homicide: Life on the Streets, which was like an early 90s cop drama. And I found out it's all on Tubi because Tubi rocks apparently. And I watched from the very beginning, and like the pilot wasn't bad, but I'm like, okay, I see where they're going from this pilot.
I mean, that's a lot of shows though, because sometimes those initial seasons were just almost. I think some shows are written just hoping it would hit, and then when it did, it's like, okay, now we got to tighten things up. Something like this, so like again, I think they do all stand alone on their own because there really is no common thread through anything. Even Tales of the Crypt didn't really have a common thread, except that they were all had the same vibe, I would say.
Right.
But the directors knew what they were going for with that series. Whereas this one, I think it's like Jody said, it's way more just loosey goosey. Like here's some money, here's some time, go for it.
Yeah.
All right, Jody, what do you rank this episode?
Okay, so I was flipping back through my ratings where I watched this a couple of years ago. This one is a above average, I think, but not like one of the best. I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. All
right, sounds fair. What did you rate? Did you do like Letterboxd?
Yeah, when I put them on Letterboxd.
Okay. Well, my New Year's resolution is to use Letterboxd. So I have to go back and.
I used to be more involved in like actually like leaving reviews on everything. Now I just usually keep up with what I watched and rate it, just so I can remember if I liked it or not.
Right.
That's what I do. I feel there's always I used to love writing when I was younger, and I remember Bloody Good Horror and they're calling for writers. I did one piece of them about like the album of the year. After that, I'm like, I don't like doing this anymore. I just don't find it enjoyable. I mean, and this is not a knock on writers out there. I just find my own writing to sometimes be pretentious, and I don't like it. And I'll leave writing to people that are really good at it and that I like to read.
Yeah. So I usually just use it to keep track more than anything. But
yeah, I'm the same boat.
All right, Mondo.
I'm a bit higher. I'm going to go 4 on this because you give me some nasty set pieces. And like you mentioned the set piece with the light, the moonlight shining through the empty eyes and the crosses in the field. That alone is worth a half star to me.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going with a 4. 3.5 makes total sense too. But again, I have nothing to compare it to. I enjoyed this, and I thought the acting was really strong. So I'm going a little higher than I probably would. I might revise it later. If I watch like 5 episodes, I probably, I might give a different one once I have a larger sample size.
And if I wasn't in the middle of like having migraines the last few days, I might have given it a 4 this time too. So
yeah. That's a valid point though too, man. Like there's definitely media over the years I've consumed. I'm not in a great place, and either I don't go back to it, or I'll go back to it and be like, oh yeah, I definitely was way more harsh on this than I should have been.
Well, Jason, I can give you some encouragement because looking back at my ratings, for the most part, I like this series. Like there's a couple stinkers in there, but I feel like it's a pretty good series overall.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break and do a shout out.
Hi, I'm Heidi Haddad from Slumber Party Massacre 2, Friday the 13th, and Society. You're listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Love it.
What a gem. Like,
God, it's just so much fun.
If there's anything I do love about horror, is this fucking community is so much fun, and the actors and actresses that have just embraced like the fandom is so good.
All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
So in the world we live in right now, it is very important that we embrace artists that share our ideals. And I'm not going to be the guy that stands on a soapbox and acts like some of the metal bands I listen to are probably a little bit sketchy. It happens. I try not to. I try to not spend money with artists that do not share values that I kind of align with. But there is a more and more growing group of metal artists that are being not just, don't me wrong, there's a ton of metal artists that aren't political, are not right-wing, but then they just don't talk about it, but that's just because they just make music, they don't care. But there is a whole new group of ones that are being very, very outspoken about where they stand, and for the right reasons, because they're also tired of a lot of the shit happening around us in this world. And we can release our anger and fucking write songs about Satan and about brutality and about fucking destruction and decimation, but still also want to it's that's the piece of getting your demons out, right? That's what art is sometimes for. It's sometimes to release that aspect and to put that out there in the world and be cathartic. So a band I discovered recently is called Spectral Decay, and their latest record is called Left Hand Wrath. And for anybody somewhat familiar, it's not really that deep into the occult, but they always call like the path you take against, and I hate to even use a term against God or against religion, but they've always called Satan's path the left-hand path, which the Church of Satan kind of adopted to be more so of like not. And again, I try to be very careful with this because I'm a person that's not anti-religion. I am very much like just worship what you want to worship, believe what you want to believe in, and I'm cool with that. Like if you have faith, fuck yeah, man, like have faith, but don't impose that faith upon people that don't want to be part of that faith. And I think the true idea behind the Church of Satan was just that. It was that like we believe, you believe, fuck yeah, let's bump fists and we can believe we want to believe in harmony together. So they always call that the taking the left hand path, which is taking the left beaten path. So this album is called Left Hand Wrath, and the song I'm going to pick is a song that is very, very poignant because it expresses a lot of what you hear in if you turn on your TV. There's a good chance you're going to see or hear the ramblings of a incoherent, dementia-riddled orange man. And the song name I'm going to pick is called Corrupted Tongue. Because There are a lot of corrupted tongues out there, and not just from that person either. There's a lot of people out there that are helping spread, and you want to know what? It happens on both sides too. Like, and the one thing I do try to tell people that are believe the way we believe on the side that we're on, we also have to be careful on the information that we spread, because if we spread false information, then we're doing no better than what they're doing. So I also use this as a kind of a warning for people out there that repost memes, repost stuff like that. Take 20 seconds and look at what you're reposting or what you're actually buying into. Don't repost AI bullshit. Don't repost stuff that you haven't verified as being fact, because all that does is spread disinformation. And I think kind of the idea behind the song isn't just talking about our illustrious leader, but it's talking a lot about spreading disinformation and how that's not good for anybody, no matter where it comes from.
Right
That's my
on.
soapbox. That's my soapbox for a couple minutes.
Hey, it's your section. You can do with it what you want.
We're talking about gems in the horror community. I think I've told you guys this. I don't know if I've talked about it on this show. Did I ever tell you my experience meeting a drunk Michael Rooker when I worked for Apple?
You've told me.
You told me, but I think that's like more of our trivia nights.
Okay, so I'll tell the story of anyone that hasn't heard it, because it's one of my favorite stories of meeting a horror celebrity. Is when Michael. This is back when The Walking Dead had first come out. So Michael Rooker was kind of, he was kind of a name out there because Walking Dead was huge, and he came into our store, needed help with his iPhone, definitely under the influence of alcohol, but being a super nice guy, just like jovial, it is when you have some beers and you're just like, everything's happy, the world's great, I love everybody. That's kind of how he was. So nothing wrong there. So everyone's calling him Merle from The Walking Dead, because I think that was his character name, right?
I never watched The Walking Dead.
I think it was Merle, and someone goes, "Hey, do you want to go help Merle from The Walking Dead?" I'm like, "Yeah." Holy shit, Michael Rooker. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go help him." So I walked out there, and he kind of jokingly said, "Yeah, it's me, Merle." I said, "You're not Merle." I said, "You're Henry." Stop.
Nice.
And he goes, "Oh, you're one of them fucking horror nerds, aren't you?" The only people that know that will call me Henry and not Merle. And he was tickled to death. I knew about Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and just the nicest guy. And I thought that was super cool that he was like tickled to death that I knew him as Henry, not as Merle, because he immediately called me out as being a horror nerd, which, hey man, I don't take that as nor did he mean it in an offensive way. He was just like, I know you and your people.
I recognize you.
Yeah. So shout out to Michael Rooker.
All right, Jody, you got some horror news?
Yeah, not a lot of news, but I do have some releases worth talking about. So looks like rental on VOD and on Screenbox right now is a movie that we saw at CFF or Chattanooga Film Fest last year. Self-Help. It was last year, right? Yeah.
Last year, yeah.
From the guys who made Founders Day, Eric and Carson Bloomquist, their brothers. It's really good. It has to do with like a cult leader, and this girl goes to try to help her mom, who is engaged to the leader, and cult stuff happens. But yeah, it's really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Another one available on digital now is Predator Badlands.
Yes.
And I know Jason is more excited than anybody about this, but I'm excited too because I haven't watched it yet. So I need to check it out.
Same here.
My wife and I have a tradition where on my birthday, I get to choose a movie for us to watch. And I'm not going to choose something outrageous, to torture her. But I do pick something a little bit more, something that wouldn't be her first choice, but something I know she's going to enjoy. So Predator Badlands was my choice this year. And she loved it. She's never seen any Predator movie. She didn't know anything about the series. And she really, really liked it. Just as a testament to show how much I love it as a horror nerd and sci-fi nerd and fan of the whole series, but also someone who's completely new to that genre. Nice. She really, really enjoyed it, and it held up very, very well in the second watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. One that I was going to mention, Mondo's already mentioned it. Primate is out in theaters right now, and I'm excited to check that one out. eventually. I don't know if I'm going to see that one in theaters. I may see it, wait for VOD for that one personally.
The theater experience is kind of fun because of the kind of gory kills, but I don't think you need to go out of your way to see it in the theater.
Yeah. Sorry. I think that's about it. There's some smaller stuff. Hayden Panettiere has a new movie called Sleepwalker. It's on VOD right now, worth checking out. But yeah.
Two things I want to bring up. One is just today they released the first teaser poster for the new Godzilla movie, the sequel to Godzilla -1. It's officially going to be called Godzilla -0. Still don't quite understand what that means, but
I was just saying I could go -2. I'm not sure which direction.
Yeah.
They also announced it has a November release date here in the US, 3 days after the Japanese release date.
Nice.
And God, I'm so excited. I've goosebumps just thinking about it. I'm so excited.
I know. I'm really excited.
I forgot about the biggest trailer that just released, Strangers Chapter 3, because I know everyone's excited for that one, right?
Oh,
I haven't watched any of the new ones because our friends at Bloody Good Horror bashed them to the point where I'm like, I didn't think I needed to see them, and now you've confirmed this fact to me.
No, I haven't watched any of them, but I'm actually really enjoying the movie in my head based on how the Bloody Good Horror crew talks about these, and it sounds more fun and terrible than what it probably really is.
Sure.
So I'm like, I have no reason to actually watch the real movie because of that.
One other trailer I forgot to mention is Whistle. It's the one with the Aztec death whistles.
Oh yeah,
it looks pretty cool. Like I don't. It maybe leans a little bit into that mainstream teeny horror stuff, but I don't know. Sometimes those are fun.
Kel got me one of those whistles for Christmas. It's pretty awesome.
Those things are wild.
She found them at Goodwill, and they look like they're actually hand carved.
Oh,
I'll take it.
Jason, you had one other thing?
Yes. So there's a new documentary. It's called Chain Reactions.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just came out on Shudder. So if you don't have Shudder, what are you doing with your life? And it's fantastic. It's about, again, the Chainsaw Massacre. It's made by Andre Felipe. He's done a couple different documentaries, Doc of the Dead, The People versus George Lucas, and also 7852, which is about the psycho shower scene, which are all fantastic documentaries. This
is he the one who did the one about David Lynch and his obsession with Wizard of Oz too?
I have to look through it, but
I think it's like Lynch/Oz or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So he did Lynch/Oz.
Yeah.
The William Shatner documentary. Oh, Leap of Faith. That's okay. I found the larger one. So he did Leap of Faith about The Exorcist with William Friedkin. Again, if you're an Exorcist fan, it's fantastic. I love it. Lynch/Oz. He did a William Shatner documentary. So this guy is just always making great stuff. So Chain Reactions is told kind of 5 chapters, and each one has a different person talking about Texas Chainsaw. So it starts off with Patton Oswalt, who's, I can just listen to him just chat about the phone book or whatever he's had for breakfast that day. He's always entertaining to me. The second one is Takashi Miike. And next one is a film journalist by the name of Alexandra Heller Nicholas. Number 4 is Stephen King. And number 5 is Karen Kusama, who did The Invitation, among other films. And it's a really interesting way to look at themes and dissect the meaning in Texas Chainsaw, because it's that movie is so brutal that I'm like gripping my seat where I can't think about the larger things. So it's good to break it down into pieces. So literally,
the crazy thing about this movie too, have you looked into the Blu-ray?
I was about to talk about the Blu-ray. Yeah,
go for it, Jody.
About Texas Chainsaw or the Chain Reactions?
The Chain
Reactions. Chain Reactions comes with 8 versions of Texas Chainsaw.
What?
That are from different sourcing, because they're all slightly different. There's a 16 millimeter overscan print, a 16 millimeter barbecue edition. There is a 1987 Czechoslovakian VHS as one of the sources. 1981 Wizard Video, 1978 Super 8, 1980
22-minute cut too,
Betamax. What's that?
The Super 8mm print is a 22-minute cut of the film.
Yeah,
What?
so they're all different cuts that
That's-
screened in different places and different countries, things like that. So they all have a little bit something different about them. I'm just super fascinated to see all the different versions of it. They're not going to be completely changing the film unless it's something like that Super 8 cut that's 22 minutes long and condenses the whole thing. Like, that's really cool. I kind of want to see what they did with it.
I have the disc. I have not watched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But also, the Czechoslovakian boot and the Slovakian Betamax are all in the original foreign languages with no subtitles.
Oh, nice. Just watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool set. Definitely a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's only $40, by the way, for that. That's a really
okay. I'm gonna go buy
reactions. It comes with a booklet and all 8 versions of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, my friend, so my old neighbor guy who I went to get dim sum with, he actually is the editor on this. So I was texting with him last night.
Yeah,
and where they film a lot of the scenes of the document of them actually talking to people, they're doing this dilapidated kind of burnt out house that looks like it could be next to the house from Texas Chainsaw. I'm like, where did you guys find this house? And it turns out it was in Altadena, literally a month before the fires last year.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, oh, nice timing. But yeah, again, if you have Shudder, go watch it. If you want to get the box set, that sounds really freaking cool, just as a thing to have. Go check that out right afterwards. So check out Chain Reactions. All right. I think we were talking a little about this earlier for dad advice, and we get really wrapped up into sports sometimes. And it can
when you say we, well, okay, I do have on audio documented my fucking meltdown when the Knights got knocked out of the playoffs one year, but that was probably the last time I had that visceral reaction to a sporting contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's fun to get wrapped up in these things, and it's fun to have a game to look forward to, be excited about, and the potential of it. It's all and sometimes it exceeds your expectations, and sometimes it comes crashing down, and it's okay either way to grieve for that or celebrate with that. Just don't be a dick about it too much, at least.
Not only that, don't
or to other
invest.
people.
Yeah, don't invest your mental health in a sports team. It's gonna happen. They're gonna lose, and guess what happens tomorrow if they lose? You still have to go to work. If they win if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, I don't get a check in the mail. I just don't. I'm not on the roster. I didn't make the roster again for the 42nd year in a row. I didn't make the team. So don't let it affect your life or those around you to a point where it's detrimental, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
You can be bummed out. You can be upset. I would never take that away from somebody. But the minute, if you have friends and family being like, hey, you get a little bit worked up during those games, you should probably take a little step back.
Yeah, we have a danger zone, within my vicinity when I'm watching big games.
Is there a highway to it?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I was pissed for an hour or so. Then I took a gummy and I mellowed out. It was okay.
That's how it should be, right? You're pissed, you got over it, you moved on with your day. If your kids have to be worried when you're watching a game, or your spouse is worried when you're watching a game, that's when it's time to really take a look and be like, maybe I'm a little bit too wrapped up in this.
Yeah. Jody, anything you want to add as a fanatic of the sporting ventures?
I've never been a sports guy. I'm just one of those guys who just never really got into it, and so I have my other obsessions to keep me busy, but just never been.
Okay, Jody, imagine the anger of when you watched Halloween Ends.
Oh yeah, no, I get the concept. I understand the idea. And that's not to say I'm anti-sports. I have enjoyed watching sports the times that I have. I still remember the one Super Bowl that Tennessee Titans actually made it to the Super Bowl. In 2000. It was really fun. I had a great time watching the game. It was very close. They lost by a foot at the end. Almost made that last touchdown. I had a lot of fun with it, but also I just don't follow it the rest of the time. So yeah.
Well, which like I said, even today, my team's in the playoffs, and I'm like, I'm gonna go see Primate though, because I really want to go to the movies. And I'm sure some fan out there is really mad about that, but that's just like, it's just sports. I enjoy them, but it's not my life.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate if you give us a rating review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. With that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch, but be careful what you ask for. You may get it.